The number of high school football players suffering concussions has reached epidemic proportions. It is estimated that over 1 million student athletes will play high school football this year, and approximately 67,000 will sustain at least one concussion at some point during the season. A concussion is a type of traumatic brain injury that results from the rapid back and forth movement of the brain inside the skull, causing the brain to swell and possibly bleed. Most initial concussions result from hits or tackles delivered at 80 to 100 G-forces, or up to 10 times the force experienced by jet fighter pilots. This is equivalent to smashing your head against a wall at 20 miles an hour. Second impact syndrome is a life-threatening medical condition unique to young adults, typically less than 23 years of age, that occurs when the brain sustains another injury before the first injury has had time to heal. This causes the brain to swell rapidly, and if not treated immediately, the heart will stop beating and the athlete will stop breathing. These concussions can occur with impacts of much lower force because the brains of these young athletes are not fully developed and are more susceptible to injury. Therefore, even minor collisions can cause second impact syndrome. 50% of second impact syndrome cases are fatal, and when they are not, the player is almost always left severely debilitated. Concussions can cause a variety of short-term and long-term effects. Any high school football player that is showing any of the short-term signs of a concussion or is thought to have sustained a concussion should be removed from the field of play immediately and not allowed to return to any football-related activity until he has been cleared by a medical professional trained in dealing with concussive injuries. Lawmakers throughout the country have responded to this growing safety concern among high school football athletes. As of October 25, 2011, 32 states and the District of Columbia have passed legislation outlining specific criteria that must be met before a player is allowed to return to play following a concussion. Unfortunately, the exact time at which a player is safe to return to the field of play following a concussion is unknown, and some may be medically cleared to play once the short-term signs and symptoms of the initial concussion have gone away. The problem is that the brain may still be in the process of healing itself, even though the player feels perfectly normal. A growing body of evidence suggests that the use of computerized neurologic testing can help coaches, athletic trainers, and medical professionals make a more informed decision about when it is safe for these young athletes to participate in football-related activities. The National Football League, the National Collegiate Athletic Association, and some select high schools are already using this technology. Players participate in baseline brain function testing before the season begins and undergo the same test if they sustain or are thought to have sustained a concussion. If the post-concussion assessment score is outside of the acceptable range relative to the baseline score, the person administering the testing will be prompted to keep the player from returning to the field of play because his brain is not functioning properly and may signify it is still in the process of healing itself. Computerized neurologic testing should not be the sole determinant of whether or not a high school football player should be allowed to return to a practice or a game. Ultimately, this decision should be left to the medical provider caring for the athlete. However, in communities that may not have access to state-of-the-art brain testing equipment like MRIs or CT scanning machines, this computerized testing could serve as a valuable decision-making tool and could possibly save a player's life. The advantages of the computerized neurologic testing are that they can be completed in a short amount of time from any place that has internet access, is relatively inexpensive, and it can be administered by a variety of people including athletic trainers, nurses, physicians, even coaches and athletic directors. Schools can purchase team packages that cover baseline testing for each student athlete and a predetermined number of follow-up assessments for $350 to $500 depending on the size of the team. High school football is an aggressive contact sport, therefore the risk of sustaining a concussion will never be totally eliminated. However, we can prevent serious medical conditions like second impact syndrome by making sure players do not sustain a second concussion before the first concussion has had time to heal. Contact your local and state legislator today and ask them to amend the current concussion safety law or write a new one that requires all high school football teams to administer baseline and follow-up computerized neurologic testing. Don't let the next hit your child takes on the football field be his last.